Hi everybody, my name is Bill Sanders and this is Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. Today what I want to do is to talk about the horology of this incredible watch a group of us had made with an outstanding watchmaker, Agenhor in Geneva, Switzerland. We also had just about everybody else who was working on our watch also was fantastic. But today I want to talk about the horology. This is the watch I'm talking about. This little picture of it down there. So the first thing I want to mention, this is sort of, you can see the overall look of it. It looks like just about any other in only some respects, and they're going to see why there's a lot of differences. First of all, one of the things that we remarked was that when we wound it, and by the way, this is a tip, never ever wind your watch while it's on your wrist. You can bend the stem and then you'll be sorry because you have to have it repaired. But the winding of this watch, somebody had said, boy, this thing really winds nicely. And I have lots of other watches, but none of them wind like this. This just has almost a floating feel to it. And I took a look at the winding gears, and it's got two winding gears. And so I looked at some of my other watches that were hard to to wind. The ones I looked at both had winding gears. One had a great big winding gear, and so it was harder to turn it because it was every turn took more pressure from the mainspring. And then another one had a little bitty one, and you wind and wind and wind forever. It's like riding a 10-speed bike up a hill with the lowest speed, and you're winding like that. This one, I swear, it's sort of the Goldilocks of winding gears. It's smooth, it feels good. That's I mean, that's just a little aspect of the AGH-6801 movement. By the way, this movement was made bespoke for the Lyrique Group. Now, the next thing I want to talk about, this thing is really amazing. It's an Agenhor regulator. And unlike most curb regulators that you see that'll have like a little stick or perhaps a swan neck that you move a little stick up and down, what this one does is that you loosen the screws and you move it one way or the other. Now, one of the things about this, Agenhor had to have a special hairspring made to work with this regulator. In other words, they couldn't just go out and get an off-the-shelf hairspring. They had to have a special one made because of the unique features of the Agenhor regulator. And not only does it regulate the frequency, it also regulates the beat. And so with turning the top two screws, you regulate the frequency, and the other one you regulate the beat. By the way, too, we didn't ask for this. This was something extra they put on. In other words, that the folks at Agenhor, who we knew, and this is why in 2007, Jean-Marc Wiederreck was the watchmaker of the year. We ended up with all of these fantastic features that are intellectual properties. They didn't have to do it. They could have put a regular curb regulator in there and we would have been happy anyway. But this one was extra nice on it. Now, the third feature of this watch are the Agenhor gears. And the Agenhor gears are these gears to minimize slippage. When gears mesh together, sometimes they can slip, even, no matter what kind they are. And so one of the inventions of Jean-Marc Wiederreck was to put these little springs in the teeth of the gear. And so when the gears came together, the teeth would grab them. Well, they did this for us too. One of the features that we had was a small second or an eccentric second, and the further away the second hand is from the gear train, the more likely there's to be a little pop, a little slippage in there somewhere. And so in order to avoid that, they put in these either a silver one or a black one in the gearing. They had both. Now the thing that's interesting about this is that it came from a watch that was made some years ago. I think it was for Van Cleef and Arpels, and they had these unusual things in the among the spokes of the gearing, and it was called the star-crossed levers. And they have a shooting star, they have a girl and a guy. We are so happy that they put that one in. They could have put a regular one in, but they had used this one, and so I thought, well, this would be sort of fun to have, and absolutely right, we love it. But horologically, the important thing is that you have a gearing with absolutely no slippage in a nice smooth second hand. Well, that's it for our what I want to tell you. By the way, too, they have this one big barrel, and it's for 40 hours. And somebody said 40 hours, they're nuts. That thing ran for 80 hours. Well, one of the things, and this is something that Edouard Melon, who's the CEO of H. Moser, told me. He said they have a time. They said there's so many hours we guarantee. But he said it always goes beyond that, because what happens after a certain amount of time, you lose that level of accuracy. So ours has the horology is set for 40 hours. Yeah, it'll run for 80 hours. So anyway, it'll lose just a little of its accuracy if we do that with it. Anyway, I'd like to know what you think. If you have one of these watches, please let me know also what you think. And opportunity to subscribe if you like. And until next time, this is Bill Sanders for Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection.